The sound I remember most isn't the metal screaming or the glass shattering. It's the quiet click when my foot met the brake and found nothing waiting for it. That was the moment everything became clear. I didn't die. Fate, physics, or some stubborn instinct kept me alive long enough to crawl out and understand that the betrayal wasn't theoretical, it was engineered, clean, familial. I lay there tasting copper and truth, and I knew this wasn't an accident. It was an appointment I was never meant to keep. The will reading. Growing up, we looked like a family from the outside. Sunday dinners, polite laughter, framed photos. Inside there was a ledger. Love was credited. Favor was debited. My sister Sabrina learned early how to balance it. Smile when needed. Whisper when useful. I was the inconvenient variable, the grandchild who spent time with Grandpa without an agenda, the one he trusted with stories, not secrets, the one who listened. When he fell sick, the house filled with casseroles and calculations. I noticed the way my parents spoke in fragments, how Sabrina's kindness sharpened into something rehearsed. They assumed I wouldn't notice. They were wrong. I always notice. I just don't announce it. The signs came quietly, a missed call that lingered too long, a conversation that stopped when I entered the room, a sudden concern for my safety offered too late and too loudly. Then the day before the meeting, Sabrina borrowed my car keys with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I let her. Trust is a useful currency, especially when you plan to audit the books. The crash happened miles from the house, a lonely road, a test run disguised as mercy. They didn't want blood on their hands, just absence, an empty chair, a name unspoken. In the hospital, while my parents practiced shock and Sabrina practiced tears, I practiced stillness. Pain sharpens memory. It also clarifies purpose. I didn't accuse. I didn't ask why. I watched. And while they assumed I was broken, I began to build. I learned who to call. I learned what to preserve. I learned the difference between proof and certainty. Grandpa taught me that, quietly, years ago, when he said, "Justice doesn't need volume, it needs timing." I gave statements. I handed over what I had. I let professionals do what professionals do. I attended therapy and physical rehab and smiled when my parents insisted on driving me everywhere. I let Sabrina hold my hand. I let my parents pray out loud. Every gesture fed the record. The morning of the will reading, I arrived late, on purpose. The room was small and polished, heavy with anticipation. Sabrina sat straight, already victorious. My parents avoided my eyes. The lawyer read names, assets, conditions. My name didn't come up. Sabrina smiled. That smile was the last thing she owned. The door opened, shoes on tile. The air shifted. A voice asked a simple question, calm and precise. Who here is Sabrina? Her smile stayed in place, confused, offended. She stood like someone expecting applause. What followed wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. There were documents, timelines, a chain of custody that didn't care about feelings, a pattern that didn't care about family. The room learned to breathe differently. My parents tried to speak. They were asked not to. Sabrina's face changed in stages, confidence to disbelief, disbelief to calculation, calculation to collapse. She looked at me then, really looked, searching for anger. I gave her nothing. Silence is a mirror. It shows people exactly who they are. The revelation came last. Grandpa had known. Not everything, but enough. He had structured the will like a trapdoor triggered by truth. Attempts to interfere with attendance forfeited inheritance. Attempts to harm accelerated consequences. The irony wasn't accidental. It was curated. The meeting ended without applause. Later, alone, I sat in my car, the replacement, safe, intact, and felt something unfamiliar settle in my chest. Not joy, not vengeance, relief, the kind that comes when the world finally aligns with what you knew all along. I don't hate them. Hate is loud. I prefer accuracy. They made a choice believing silence would protect them. They were right about one thing. I am quiet. Quiet enough to wait, quiet enough to listen, quiet enough to let the truth arrive on time. This is my confession, not of violence, but of patience, of choosing restraint over reaction, of understanding that the most satisfying revenge isn't destruction, it's exposure. They tried to erase me with absence. I answered with presence. And I made the meeting after all.